Did you guys know that week 11 in fantasy basketball goes from March 1st all the way to March 14th? That's a 2-week week. We discuss all that and more on This Week in Fantasy Basketball. What's up, everyone? It's your boy, the talented Mr. Taco here from the Daily Sporting with another This Week in Fantasy Basketball. As always, what we're going to do is we're going to break down some of the top players that are going on for the last couple of weeks this week and show you some good waiver wire pickups that you might be interested in nabbing while you still can, because some of these guys, man, they've been going off, like my boy Kendrick Nunn. But first things first, let's break down actually some news. One thing that we noticed, OG Anunoby was scratched right before the game, so he's out. We're going to see Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet are all going to be out until the All-Star break. So these are pretty significant, injuries or outages during this period of time. One player that I do like here is Norman Powell, especially in DFS. This guy's been balling lately. If you have him in season long, more than likely he's already picked up on your waiver wire. But if you're in daily fantasy, I think he's going to be a good play for their game that got rescheduled to Wednesday. Another player that we got some information on is Kendall Johnson. He had been out now for the last couple of games because of COVID from the San Antonio Spurs. He's going to be back and active for tonight's game versus the Knicks. One thing that we do have to keep in mind for Johnson is that he's going to be on a minutes restriction, so he's not going to get the most usage out of him, but it will be good to get him off the injured designation in your team and put him back on your lineup. And lastly, Bogdan is going to be available after being out for a while and being a major signing for the Hawks. We're going to get Bogdanovic back online for the Atlanta Hawks, and I think that's going to be a really interesting player. And actually, I have. Okay, I didn't bring him up here, but I want to actually talk about Bogdan. Bogdan right now is owned in about 50% of leagues. Let me just pull him up real quick so we can be all on the same page here. I like to show off the stats when we talk here. But the thing about Bogdan, right, is that he's owned in 51% of leagues, right? He's shooting horribly so far this year. He's not been really efficient from the field. He does get you a couple of threes, really doesn't kill you in the turnovers. If we look at what he did last year in his breakout season, though, for the Kings, I just want to see if I can pull it up. Here goes 2019 stats. We look at what he did overall. He shot much better from the field, so about 44%. He hit a significant amount of threes, 164. Can I get this per game? I'm sorry. Normally I have this pulled up ahead of time. I thought this did. He had 2.7 threes per game, 15 points per game, one steal, only 1.7 turnovers, while shooting 44% from the field, 74% from the free throw. Overall, not the overwhelming number one player, but he did finish in the top 100. Right now, he's only rostered in 51% of leagues. He's coming off of an injury. We know that they've had some injuries in Atlanta, and there's been a recent change in the coaching staff. So we got to see how this is going to affect him. Nate McMillan is now going to be the coach in Atlanta. So going forward, we're going to see how this affects him and how he comes back from this injury, because he's never really been with Atlanta. He got his time with the Kings, and then when he came to Atlanta this year, he was been out for most of this year. If we look at what he's done so far on this year, season average, he's only averaged 23 minutes per game. He hasn't really shot well. There was a lot of people there, but I do think that for his ownage percentage or his rostered percentage and with the opportunity that he's going to have going forward, I definitely like him as a player that you could pick up. I was stashing him before, but now we have to actually see how he plays. So it's going to be a little bit more interesting, and we can actually get some footage and feedback on him. With the All-Star break too, I think that'll be good. So he'll be able to be rested up. And I think for the final stretch, he might be a player that we want to add, especially since he has shooting guard, small forward, and power forward eligibility. But that's one player that we're talking about. Overall, when we're looking at the stats for the season, Jokic pretty much is running from beginning to end as the number one player in fantasy basketball overall. Curry's really holding himself up there at number 2, and Vujovic is still hanging tough at number 3. He's been at the top near almost the whole season. And Embiid has really made his push up to number 4, and Fred VanVleet being out is going to hurt a lot of owners, and he's sitting at number 5. James Harden, I was really wrong about James Harden, man. I didn't think that a trade would benefit him as much, but what he did when he came to the Nets is he became a great playmaker, and he's really playing the point guard really well. He's getting his assists. He's really being efficient, and Kyrie Irving is definitely blowing all expectations of what people expected, and he's really molded himself well with that Nets team. Kawhi Leonard and Bradley Beal round out, and Zach LaVine round out the top 10. Miles Turner has dropped down. We saw that earlier. He was in the top 5. He's now dropped to number 11. I've been very adamant about saying this is a sell high guy to me. If I'm able to package him for something now and get more on my return, I definitely would. If we look at his numbers, he's definitely much held up because of these high amount of blocks at 104 blocks for the season. But the rest of his numbers, if we look at it, is not on par to everyone else. So overall, yes, he can win you the one category, but in strategic cases, I can definitely make a case where trading Miles Turner can help benefit your team if you can get back a good return to bolster you where you need to be bolstered. Because in the playoffs, all you need to do is win 5 of the categories. That should be your main goal. Win 5 to 6 categories every week. You do not need to go 9-0. It's rare for teams to go 9-0. You need to focus on the 5 to 6 categories that you're good at, double down on that, and build your team and make sure your team is as strong on that as possible so you can fortify yourself in the playoffs. As we rounded out, Middleton, Adebayo, LeBron James has been putting up the numbers like he always does. GOAT status. Luka Doncic has really been pushing himself up. Same thing with Ingram. Randle's having a beast of a year almost on a Larry Bird streak. If we look at Julius Randle, 48% from the field, 80% from the free throw. He has 67 threes. He's averaging, I want to say, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He's up there on that. Brogdon, he's been a revelation. I feel like he's been out for a couple of games, but when he's been playing, he's been super solid and super efficient. I think that his numbers are a little bit down because of him being out. And if you can try to snag him in a trade, that's definitely one player I like going forward in trades. Now, if we look at the last 2 weeks, and I'll just bring it back here because I was sorting through. This is what's been going on for the last 2 weeks. If we see the Denver guys are really up there, Jamal Murray's been blowing up. He's been hitting 57% of his baskets and 90% from the free throw. So he's definitely been putting in that work. Let me just sort this by averages. I prefer talking in averages. Right, last 14 days. See, that's the only problem about going averages is that you have outliers like this for Cousins or some of the guys that aren't playing enough time to be up here. But I think that's a good way to break down because you can see he's hitting 4.8 threes per game, which is absolutely insane, while averaging 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game, which is absolutely insane. Halliburton has really been putting up almost near rookie of the year numbers. Him and LaMelo Ball are really going to be battling for it, but Halliburton has been extremely efficient. He's been getting six assists to 1 turnover while shooting 47% from the field and 85% from the free throw. If you're in one of those leagues that he's available in that 21%, definitely go get him. Definitely someone to get. Lonzo Ball has really been overperforming. We're not overperforming, but finally really stepping up and maybe living up to that draft billing that he has, the number 2 pick. If we look at him in the last 2 weeks, shooting 46% from the field, 82% from the free throw, 3.8 threes per game. Remember, this guy before couldn't hit a 3 to save his life. Now he's knocking down 3.8 threes per game, 17 points, 6.8 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1.8 turnovers. All around, this guy is super efficient and effective. Jarrett Allen, we know that with Andre Drummond going down, now he's getting the opportunity to shine, and he's definitely showing why he's going to be a top player going forward. And if you manage to hold Jarrett Allen during that trade situation, you're really going to be benefiting for it. Shooting 73% from the field, 62% from the free throw, 18 points and 14 rebounds per game with 2.3 blocks. This guy in the playoffs is going to be nasty. You're not going to want to face him. Look at that, only 1.7 turnovers on that. And like I was saying before, Julius Randle is just on another level right now. In the last 2 weeks, he's shooting 50% from the field, 85% from the free throw, hitting 2.5 threes, averaging 24.8 points, 10.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.2 steals. I mean, this guy is doing everything. I could not expect Julius Randle to be performing this well. Now, also, one thing that we do want to note here, Kendrick Nunn has been a guy that I've been hyping up for the last couple of weeks. His roster ownership went from being in the 20s, now he's only up to 60s. In the last 2 weeks, he's been balling. 48% from the field, 1,000% from the free throw, 3.4 threes per game, 17.9 points per game. He's getting 4.4 assists, 1 steal, almost 1 block with 1 turnover. These numbers are insane for him. Siakam, like we said, he's out. Tobias Harris is honestly, since he got snubbed from the All-Star game, he was performing, but then he had a little bit of a knee injury. They looked at it. The MRI seems like it came back clean. He may be available for tomorrow's game. That's going to be something that we have to watch, but everything should be good for him. Now, I just want to break down a couple of the quick waiver wire guys that we're talking about, as we normally do waiver wire Wednesday, which will be coming out tomorrow. I'm going to make sure I cover everyone for that. But just a couple of quick guys that I want to go over for you. Dennis Smith Jr., this guy that kind of has my eyes right now. Reason why, if we look at what's going on in the last 14 days for Dennis Smith Jr., he's averaging 21 points per game. But he's also, let me just start this by averages for you guys so it looks a little easier. Okay. He's averaging 1.3 threes per game, 9.3 points per game, 3.7 assists, 1.7 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover. Obviously, I don't expect him to keep that block number that high, which will actually lower his value. But if he gets just a little bit more efficient, like if he shoots 42% or so, his numbers will go up a little bit. He'll get more points, and he'll raise his field goal percentage enough to keep him, I would say, within the top 100, at least statistically speaking. The next player, quick, Bobby Portis. This guy, 59% owned, but he's super underrated. He's been consistent all year for the season, averaging 54% from the field, 1.1 threes per game, 11.2 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game. Almost a steal per game, half a block per game, but less than a turnover per game. This guy is really, really rock steady. And if we look at what he's just done in the last 2 weeks, okay, again, just maintaining pace, maintaining everything that he's doing at a center position. You really can't go wrong with this kind of a guy. And if he's available, which he is available in 40% of leagues, I definitely would think that he's someone that you can go out and get. Now, I don't go make him a priority on my roster, but as being one of the last men on my roster, definitely could fit that position any day of the week. Another guy, Bruce Brown. I'm going to really get more into him tomorrow on the waiver wire show. Okay, so I'm going to save that for later. Okay, Danny Green, though. That's another guy. We're going to get into that on the waiver wire show. I'm going to break that down for you. And that's going to come tomorrow. And Daniel Jones, okay? Derek Jones, the former slam dunk champion. He's another guy that I'm looking at that we're going to talk about tomorrow. All right, guys. So I just wanted to give you the quick breakdown here for this week in fantasy basketball. Reminder, like I said, this week in Yahoo, it's going to cover from the 1st of March all the way to the 14th of March. So it's going to be 2 full weeks, but we have the break in between. So there's going to be, maybe 5 to 6 days where there's going to be no games. Then it'll pick back up. So you got to use your moves smartly. Your moves don't reset. So, it's going to be these, 6 to 10 moves that you have until from the 1st to the 14th. So make sure you plan accordingly. We're really going to be making sure that we do some of these live now for this week in fantasy basketball. So this way I can answer any questions people may have about their rosters going forward. Because as we're getting closer to the playoffs, it's going to be a situation where you're going to want to make sure that you maximize your roster, get ready to perform at your best level, and let's win these chips, man. I like my chips with the dip too, man. If you're in these money leagues, man, you want to come home with the chips, man. You don't play these leagues to be in second place. You don't play these leagues to be, in the playoffs and lose in the first round. You play these leagues to win. And that's what we do here. We help make sure you win. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Just so you guys know also, we're running an NBA Top Shot giveaway. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page, subscribe to the Twitter page. We're giving away one random subscriber NBA Top Shot. We're actually going to give 2 Top Shots away. So this is definitely something that's going to be coming soon. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you stay subscribed because that's how we run the raffles. But we love you guys. We appreciate all your time with us. Quick, Marc Gasol went down tonight. Yeah, definitely. If Marc Gasol went down, Morris is going to be a great pickup because you have AD down still too, and Kuzma's having his minutes dialed back. So I definitely agree with you there. Morris for DFS could be a nice little steal, or if you're doing like a late lineup, I'll definitely plug him in on the waiver wire. If you can make moves and get him into your lineup for tonight, he's definitely a sneaky play as well. I definitely agree with you over there. But guys, we got you all set up. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. We answer everything. We're here to help you guys. And this is the talented Mr. Taco. We are the Daily Sporting. We appreciate everything. And until next time, peace.